the artwork is still here, our designer is still here. They've gone, they've looked at that feedback. They're going to come in, upload the file, say, hey, I've fixed that. And as we just alluded to there, let's go and send this for compliance review. So something, a little twist on this. Again, this is where we're calling different agents to look at different types of data as this gets submitted and moved through that process. So again, so that's going to move on. And I suppose this is where, we talk about, ROI of the system. This is huge. Because I suppose
legal or expensive,
legal or expensive, and regulatory. But any mistakes here, and I think we've both sat in in agencies and in-house agencies, and you've seen these people in particular that they've got the left and right versions of a copy or of a document. It could be 20, 30-page document that's there, and where this is bringing in is it's flagging up so many obvious errors straight away, as you said, in terms of standard life and some others. The difference between both documents. AI can go and render both of those, or OCR both of those files, and actually pinpoint where they're different from each other. So as a QC person, for example, coming in to say, okay, I've got version 2 back, they've reworked on it, what have they changed? The fact that we're highlighting that's something that I haven't shown into today's process, but something that's really, really bringing efficiency out there to those QC people to say, this was this, here's where it difference. And you bring that down to that small legal text on a document of 10, 20, 30 pages. We're really starting, from an ROI perspective, you start to count up those minutes that you're saving, the number of those documents that are going through. It's huge. This is serious.
So we started working with, at the time, Kellogg's, now Kellanova. I'd say it's definitely more than 10 years ago, on their content governance workflow. They call C3. Obviously, this is pre-AI, but I remember being in workshops with them, and the amount of workload that legal had to review all early versions, because they wanted to catch issues early so agencies wouldn't spend fees on ideas that were never going to go. So it was a combination of looking at final, but looking at early conceptual stuff. But it is a humongous amount of work. And first of all, it's hard to find really great legal people, but they tend to be very expensive as well. So this is where I see AI, if it can catch that early stuff, one, cut down on legal fees, but two, mainly, don't let agencies go off and work on work, first of all, that's never going to get approved.
Yeah.
Go ahead. But also, help them, guide them. This is to help an agency as well by giving them feedback, very clear feedback. From working with agencies over 10 years that one of their biggest complaints is, I don't get feedback. I don't get it. It's never clear. It's written on the back of an envelope. Well, if AI and this sort of flagging annotation can really zone in to say, this doesn't look right according to our guidelines or whatever, focus on this as early advice, could be huge.
It is. And as I was saying, we're not saying this legal need to go here. It's just, it's making their job a lot easier. There's plenty of things they can focus on, within this. So it is that piece of, hey, we found the obvious stuff here. Your 80, 90% is there. As we move this process forward, as you're seeing, we're still bringing it through to legal. We're still saying, here you are, here's your document. We've done these checks, by the way. This is what we've found. And they could be worked on and solved beforehand. So there's certainly part of that. And, with that legal side of things, we often see, it goes back to the Screendragon Foundation thing as well. It's knowing whether to go to them or not. When do you need to involve them? It's a case of, if this has come from a master document that's approved, is it as vital that they see all of that as opposed to the master itself? All of that logic can be built in. So when you're layering these two things together, I think, we're rightfully so, this is the AI Contents Ops Summit. Rightfully, we're focusing on the AI side of things. But when we layer it on that Screendragon platform, the power here is immense. It really, really is to put those things of all of that business logic with this intelligence. Really great place to be.
And I assume you can link up big claims databases, because on the last webinar I did with Hallmark, they were asking us to store it's not exactly claims, but it's terminology, phrases, etc., that shouldn't be used in their artwork, in the cards and calendars that they create. The same applies for other text, basically. Claims that shouldn't be appearing, shouldn't be used in the advertising.
It's that. I mean, look, the word there is text. It's that generic. It's a case of, what do you need us to go and check for? The agent doesn't mind. It's going to check based on what we've prompted through to do. And that's what, I suppose, from the Foundry point of view, the guys are really, really good at now in terms of ensuring that the prompt is tweaked well enough to go specifically what your ask is into that data set. So whatever that text that you say is, that we're diving in, comparing it back to what we've got, and getting the results that you need.
Actually, you're doing it here. I think you set up this example with, in the case of Jones's, we're calling out, this is the greatest flavor ever bottled, and AI is saying, hey, this may be going a bit too far in terms of claim.
That is a claim.
Okay.
So I think there's some beer brands might, they would say a bit more probably. A bit more probably in there. So you can't make a claim like this to say this is the greatest flavor. It's a very simple example to kind of show that, to say, look, this isn't allowed based on the guidelines that are there. You can't make any definitive claims like this. That could be, this is the healthiest thing you'll ever drink, whatever it might be. That type of a claim that just, you can't stand over this and we can get sued for this. Yeah, it's going to flag it up.